Wrong password? Try again. Those 4 words will either send your customers grumbling to reset their credentials or cause them to abandon their session for good. Consumer giants like Best Buy and Amazon are solving this problem by eliminating passwords and giving their customers the easiest, most secure way to sign in and shop through passkeys. And Passage by 1Password makes it easy to deliver the same experience. Increase conversions and drive revenue by quickly implementing passkeys in your existing authentication flows with Passage by 1Password. Passkeys not only reduce the frustration passwords inflict on users, ensuring they continue to progress through their buying journey, but they also help you save your organization time and money by reducing support costs and the need for expensive SMS-based MFA. With Passage, you can confidently introduce an industry-leading passage key experience that just works with a few lines of code. Our dedicated security experts handle passkey updates and ongoing maintenance, allowing you to focus on your core app, knowing users will enjoy a secure and frictionless login experience across all their devices. Check out Passage to learn more and talk with their team. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of InnovateHER, Women in Product. Today we have a lovely special guest joining us, someone whose expertise shapes the very core of product operations at Nylas. Let me introduce you to Holly Holbrook, Product Operations Manager at Nylas. As Product Operations Manager, Holly plays a pivotal role in ensuring Nylas delivers nothing short of excellence to its customers, partners, and stakeholders. From inception to fruition, Holly oversees the entire lifecycle of the product, ensuring that they align seamlessly with Nylas' overarching vision, strategy, and objectives. Welcome, Holly, and how are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. And holy moly, that was like a solid intro. I don't know who came up with that, but it's pretty accurate and awesome. So thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be the first person. I also didn't know that. This is so fun.
Yeah, this is the beginning of the podcast, so we're very excited to kick it off with you. Let's get started. What was your inspiration for pursuing a career in product ops?
So I got into product ops what I thought was kind of unconventionally, but as I have started to communicate with other people in the space, I found that it's pretty typical. So I studied computer science in college and graduated with a computer science degree in software engineering. And really quickly into my career, I realized I did not have the mind of an engineer. Like I understood it. I liked it. I could write it. I could debug it. I could do all the things, but I didn't really like it. And so as I was in that role, I was started to become exposed to product managers that I was working with. And that was something that really piqued my interest. And so for the last 4 years, I have been a product manager. And during that process, I found I loved it. I loved doing discovery. I loved working with designers and just really loved the idea of what product did and how they solved problems. And while I was in that role, I kind of became the person who just by default did the operations tasks. Like in like somebody needs to send out a release announcement, somebody needs to coordinate these meetings, somebody needs to do scrum management for a while. And I just kind of took on those tasks because I recognized that it was a little bit disorganized. And by doing that, I really found myself pretty organically in product operations, where it used to be I just did it as a part of being a PM, but now it is my sole job. And I just help the product managers and other stakeholders really be aligned and have the right tools and have the right processes. And I have loved that. So that's how I kind of got into product ops.
Yeah, fell into it really naturally.
Yes, very naturally. And I feel like those are the best type of growth in your professional life is if something just is you should be learning and understanding what you do and do not like of each role you're in. And naturally that should kind of take shape for you.
Amazing. Can you share a pivotal moment or experience that really shaped your career in product ops? Like, was there one specific moment?
Yeah, there is. It's actually my now boss. So for a little bit of context, I previously worked at a company and they I was a PM over this product that we were making, and I actually scoped and vetted and bought Nylas to be our back end of that product. And so in doing so, I kind of became friends with my my salesperson who was helping me out, and she was like, "Holly, you have to meet our CPO. He is so awesome. He would love you." And that was just kind of like a friendly introduction of of the Nihilist gang. And we got on a call, and he was like, "Okay, I want you on my team. Are you interested in moving?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I'm not very happy where I am." And he was like, "Okay, well, I have these two roles. I have a technical product manager and I have a product operations manager." And he said, "I'll give you whichever one you want, but I think you would really love product operations." And I was like, I am not a product operations person. I love doing product. I really just don't want to stray away from owning products. And he kind of did a little bit of like his pitch for me. And I ended that call with saying, "I'll take the technical product role." And he was like, "Okay, awesome. Like we'll start the process." And it's that same night that I had just kept racking my brain of all the things that he said of what that product operations manager would look like. And it really helped me identify my favorite parts of my job. And it wasn't necessarily the product management work, it was the layer on top of that of making sure that the right steps are taken and the right people are involved. And so I actually just called him back that night and I was like, "Is there any way that I can change my answer? Like, I would love to be product operations." And I think I even said, "But if I don't like it, what would we do?" And he's like, "Well, we'll always have a product management role open." And that has since not needed to happen, and I don't foresee it happening, but that was a very pivotal point in where I had to decide like the fork in the road of my career.
Wow. Yeah, that's very like intuition based too. I think you kind of sit on it and you're like, it's not sitting right if I do the technical role, and then you kind of
Mm-mm.
have that reassessment.
Yes, it's interesting.
All right. So what are some challenges that you face as a woman specifically working in product management? Has there been anything that's kind of come forward, or do you find you don't have to deal with any issues?
I feel like there's always there's always a yes answer to that question, whether that's an extreme yes or a soft yes. But throughout my career, whether it was product ops or it was product management, my role has always been, well, I don't even want to say my role. My personality is very, I want to talk to you. I want to know about your family. I want to ask you what you did over the weekend. I want to make a relationship with people. And that has always been one of my strengths until I started working. And it quickly became something that was seen by other women and men. So I guess two viewpoints. Other women kind of pegged me as, "Oh, she's so flirty. She just wants to talk to everybody all the time. She is always smiling and always just so interested in everybody's life." And then the men would be like, "Oh, is she interested in me? Is she like talking to me?" And so I had to really kind of one time a manager, which I actually have thought about so many times. It's been like 6 years since this happened, but she took me to lunch on an off day. She was the COO of the company I was working at, and she said, "Holly, I know that you like just care a lot about people and find a lot of happiness with talking to others, but I want you to know that it's perceived this way and you really should watch out because most of the managers and the C-level and those upper level management people tend to be men and I just don't want them thinking anything about you." And at the time, it was like I just felt so sick about that. Like it just made me feel sad, and I was a 20-year-old single mom at the time. And so my instant reaction was, okay, like if that's not working, I need to change it. And I did. And I thought about it every day. And I was sad. I was sad at work. I was sad that I didn't have conversations. And I was so afraid that I needed to go. I had to stop changing into my gym clothes at the office and instead doing it at the gym because my gym clothes are tighter or something. And so those are just like a few examples of things that I've had to overcome. But now I have realized that it is not me. If my intentions are just being kind and nice and caring, like if you came to work, I would say, how was your weekend? Like, what did you and your kids do? And like tell you about what me and my kids did. And I like that. And I find a lot of fulfillment on top of my job to have these relationships. And and I will never ever let something like that get in my head again of I should be different or look different or smile different or laugh different, that I just will forever be me. And I have seen that really pay off. At my role at Nylas, I they joke that I'm the mom of the group. I am technically the only mom of the group, but I'm also the very youngest. Like I am the youngest person on our whole team, and I'm the only mom. And they will say, Holly, thank you so much for always having our back. Like you're just like the mom of our group. And I'm always the one who's like, all right, icebreaker, tell me about this first time you did this or something. Like I'm always the one who's making my people communicate and talk. And that has really paid off for me at Nylas because I have these close relationships where I can just talk to anybody, whether that's a CS director or VP of sales or whoever it is. Like we know each other because we talk. And I showed a care to know them, and they reciprocate to that. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but I
No,
think I
that's
answered your
amazing.
question.
It really like pulls into all those little micro corrections that we make to really change how people perceive us. And it's so interesting to hear how you realize that over time. And I think it's just something you only really learn from experience. So
Oh,
like
yes.
very, very fascinating too, to even just reflect on yourself and see how far you've come from. What role do you
Yes.
believe that diversity and inclusion plays in driving innovation?
Oh, man. I think that diversity and inclusion, with it, there is no cap to the knowledge. There is no perspective that you miss
Mhm.
if you have the right people in the right room. And that is people of every background, of every gender, of everything. We all come with a different set of knowledge. And if we limit it to all women or white men or whatever we want to put that cap on, we are missing out on all of the other perspectives and knowledge sets that come with it, whether it's just like me versus my husband or you versus me. Like those two, all of us would bring something very, very different to the table. And so it's hard, one, to get even anybody in the room sometimes. But if you're also taking count of who's coming through the door and letting the right people in of what you perceive to be the right people, then you're probably going to be missing so much positive from the people that you left at the door. And sometimes I think it's, oh man, it's a book. Um, but it's an awesome women art writer, and she worked at Google. It's Cheryl something, I think, but she says just get a seat at the table. And
Mhm.
if you get the seat at the table, if you have the right size table and the right people are extended an invite, if you feel like you're the right person, tell somebody that you need to be there, that you come with a background in this, or you just think that you might be a good problem solver here. Get into the room, make your case for being at the table, and there will always be reasons to chime in. That's something that I've found. I find myself, I think I'm kind of annoying to my coworkers because they'll have meetings on their calendars that maybe they don't think that I should be invited to, but I will literally just because we're all remote, I will just be like, "Hey, what's this thing on this person's calendar? It seems like I should be in that call." And I will just join and I'll be like, "Hey guys, like sorry, I'm just barging in. I won't talk. I'll just like stay here." And it kind of makes them giggle because they're like, "Oh, she was snooping on our calendar." But I have found that anytime I do that, it's because I identified that I was necessary in the call. And then I end up talking, or like I'll pop in and somebody will say, "Oh, Holly, we were just writing down a note to ask you a question." And the other day, I actually didn't. I saw something on a calendar that I was like, that's weird that I'm not invited to that. And really think that I should be a main stakeholder in this call. And I didn't do anything. We were just getting out of town. We were about to drive 5 hours to go on a vacation. And so I just kind of let it go. And then all of a sudden, the meeting had passed and I had 14 messages, like one from literally every person on the call that was like, "Hey, I don't know why you weren't invited to this call, but as soon as it started, I realized you weren't there. So I took all these notes for you, and here's the recording." And I had like four things I had to do from that call. And it was just kind of like testament to what sometimes people just don't think about it or anything, but I have learned to just not be embarrassed of that. "Hey, you need to invite me to this call because maybe you don't see it now, but I like just based off of the topic and the agenda, I will either have something great to add or I will have like action items that I need to take and work on." So it's easier to just be in it and just be shameless with that. "Hey, you need me in there and I'm going to be in there." And calendars are not secret. So
Oh, I like that. You never know what you're gonna have to add until you're there, so don't miss
yeah,
out.
exactly.
Is there any particular rewarding project that you've worked on recently or something in your career that you're really proud of?
Yes. So we recently just at Nylas, we recently released our API v3 is what we call it. We are an API based company and we completely rebuilt all of our core APIs. And that is like a 3-year project in the making. And when I started at Nylas, I was like, "Okay, like what projects are we working on?" And they were like, "Well, we're mostly working on this API v3." And I was like, "Okay, tell me about it. Like what's going on? What is it going to look like? What's the status of it? What's done? What's not done? What's our goals with it? What's our metrics that we were aiming for?" Like I had all these questions. I was like, "Okay, fill me in." And they were like, "Okay, let me send you like 30 documents. They're across Notion, some are in Google Docs, and I'm hoping I don't miss anything." And then it would always end with, "But if you want more information, go ask this person."
Mhm.
And so they would give me a bunch of artifacts and then I'd read them and then I'd talk to the next person and then they'd give me other ones that were kind of contradicting to it. And I quickly realized like nobody really has just a pulse on what's going on with this project. What percent are we done? What features, what APIs have we finished rewriting? Like things like that help you gauge the whole project itself. And I quickly realized that that needed to change. And especially with this project, it was so big. We literally, I counted it up the other day. There was 300 individual features that we worked on, like so big. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is getting that project on track with some visibility. We started to be able to, at the beginning, it was so much manual effort of trying to remember what we have done and going through Git repositories to see what what features we had worked on, and and it finally evolved to this ecosystem that wasn't only the product side of what we were working on, but every feature was connected to an engineering task. And so we were able to not only see like what we had to do, but what the engineers had to do, what that was associated with. And we were able to say, okay, we're releasing it on this day. This day is when we're going to be code complete. And we were able to project, we were able to get prepared, we were able to get everybody trained on the features as they were being marked done rather than just like as they were all done. And I think that really helped. And so that what I would say is one of my most recent wins that was very noticeable, not only to me, but lots everybody. Like I don't think had that not happened, I don't think that we would have released it yet because
Wow,
it was kind of a mess.
that's a huge accomplishment. Uh,
Yes.
that's amazing. Congratulations. So as
Thank
someone
you.
who's very successful in product operations, what advice would you give to other women who wants to pursue a similar role as you?
Oh, I would say, and I hope this would just kind of translate to any role, but just be willing to try. And if you think that you're going to be good at it, you probably are going to be good at it. And get yourself in the room. And maybe with lots of roles, you have to kind of work into a knowledge set or into a experience set time, but really pursuing something and dedicating yourself to voice your opinion and to try really hard and just to do the work that's necessary to get there. In the meantime, though, like don't ever forget what's most important. And for me, that's my family. And throughout all of this, I mean, I mentioned a little while back, but I was a single mom. I was 20 years old. I was just starting my career. And those first couple of years, they were hard. They were so hard. And I had to take my son to daycare and I had to spend a lot of time away from him. And that was really hard. But now looking back, I'm so glad that I dedicated that time that I did because now I am in a place where it's not just a 9 to 5 clock in and clock out. I have so much autonomy and so much just get your work done type thing. And so you have to put in the work at the beginning, but it will always pay off, I think.
That's amazing. Kind of a segue from that. What do you think are the key factors that contribute to successful product operations? Not necessarily just for a woman in the role, but anyone in the role.
I think having very good communication skills is so important. You have to be able to have conversations with so many different types of people and making sure you get the right people on a call to discuss the right thing. I think knowing how to communicate and organize those conversations. There are so many calls that I literally just set the meeting for. I will get invite all the right people. I will put an agenda in the notes and I will kind of moderate. Like I'll be like, this is the tone of the meeting. I myself have nothing to add. Like you guys are all the people to make these decisions, but this is what we need to accomplish. And sometimes I even have to like be a timer for people because it's like, okay, like that's off course. We need to course correct. Um, and I think it really needs to one of the biggest things that you need to have in product operations is an idea and good instincts and just knowing how to iterate and act on that instinct, but keep it open enough for you to be able to change it and pivot and add to it, remove it throughout the process. Because if you start doing something, I mean, you can't start doing something if you don't have a place to start.
Mhm.
And sometimes that place might not be the best, but if you open it up to being able to quickly adapt, um, and course correct and change it, I think that is really important. And just getting that trust with your team to say, okay, Holly, we trust you. This probably isn't the right place to start, but we're going to start and then we'll find the right place to start.
Mhm.
Getting trust from your team and communicating throughout all of it and just following your instincts. I feel like this is something that maybe I differ a little bit from other operations managers that I work with, that I've worked with through the PLA actually. Some people are very data driven. I am data driven, as in, I like to understand trends and where pain points are and where human action is is coming into play differently than we expect, like things like that. I like to use my intuition a little bit after looking at those data points, finding that place to work and to focus on. But then after that, I don't look at data points. I don't look at all those things. I just think like if I can talk to the right people and take notes and understand their pain points, then that's enough data to make a good decision on how to make it better. And so just having those opportunities to really understand what your goal is and what I just keep saying pain points, but what everybody is saying is hard and what everybody is complaining about, or it's just a pain in the ass every day. Like those are the things I want to focus on. And so I will, I, I don't know, that was a lot of things, but I think all of those things are key things to my role that
Very valid.
really helped me. Yes.
And my last question is, what are you most excited about for the future of product ops?
I am actually starting my journey, this is the first podcast I've ever done. And I have my first speaking role coming up. And I am just so excited that other people are pursuing this same role and are starting to be interested in doing it. And I feel really lucky that I get to be in this situation where I can share my knowledge and my expertise and hopefully help others find that this is their passion too, um, or even realize that they need a product ops person. And I think as that community is growing and as that job title is starting to pop up more and more, that is what I'm most excited about. I can't wait to see where this grows to and more people join the product ops world.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like it's fresh enough that there's so much optimism going forward, and it's really innovative, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm personally not in product ops, but I'm like keeping a close eye on it, and I like talking to people who are pushing the boundaries of it.
Yes, it's cool. And I look at it from two ways. Like it's a freaking fun job to have. Like I love it. I love the people I get to talk to. I love the problems I get to solve. But also speaking of just my company now, Nylas, it has completely changed our culture of how people interact with product and how people interact with each other. And I feel like if every company that is in the right stage of being a company and they're ready to have a role like this, it will drastically change how they work and how their customers consume their products. So that's really exciting.
Oh, amazing. Well, I have got my fill of questions. If there's anything else that you'd like to bring up, please, now is a chance to promote yourself, promote your projects, what you're doing. We'd love to hear it.
I am I'm taking the stage, I guess, in New York City at the Product Operations Summit, and then again at the uh, Go to Market Summit in LA. And so if you're there, give me a shout out. I'd love to get a drink or just have a fun conversation. I hope to see some PLA people there.